Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This your boy Marcus, my man over here, Griffin, my man Wilson. We all here doing it for the culture one time. Like I told y'all before, the culture can be anything you want. It can be the appreciation of arts, it can be the human intellect, developing each other, sharing core values, social practices, anything we want. We're doing it for the culture. And today we got a very important topic, the birth of hip hop. We feel like anybody that's associated with our culture needs to hear about this. And we're gonna start off with my man Wilson. Man. Go ahead, give us the breakdown of what we're talking about today.
All right. As the resident old head on this panel, first and foremost, by the time you guys hear this podcast, it will be the 44th anniversary of the event that has been acknowledged as giving birth to hip hop. On August 11th in 1973, a birthday party, a house party, given at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, South Bronx, New York City, by a young Caribbean gentleman by the name of Clive Campbell, who would gain world fame under the name DJ Kool Herc, decided to throw what has been widely acknowledged as the first hip hop party ever. Uh, Little did they know at the time they started and what they sparked would turn into a $1 billion business and cultural and pop cultural phenomenon that has literally dominated the planet since its inception. Uh, I love to be able to say that for me, being a child that was born in 1976 when hip hop was a toddler, that I'm a child of hip hop. I appreciate the fact that I've grown up with hip hop. There's never been a day that hip hop hasn't played its part in my world and the things that are around me. Um, that being said, there's also widely acknowledged that there are four elements into what we call hip hop. Um, the most readily identifiable one that most people see is MCing, and that would be the rappers, the guys on the mic, the ones dropping the bars and hitting the rhymes and dropping those sick flows that you love to sit and repeat and sing in the shower, karaoke in the car, and stuff like that. Uh, there's so many that have come along the years, so many pioneers, so many people that have come down. I mean, it's the one that's most identifiable. So I'm not going to really go down all the names, but everybody has their favorites. Everybody knows, from the old school Run DMCs and Curtis Blows and Slick Ricks up to the Snoop Dogs and NWAs and going through to the Jay Z's and Biggies and Pacs and the Kendricks and Drakes and Lil Waynes and stuff like that. I mean, you guys are familiar with the MCs and stuff like that, so that always comes down the pipe. But that's an important element of hip hop. You also have DJing, which is widely considered the basis and foundation. Again, it's a DJ that actually started the movement known as hip hop. So without the DJ, you never have this existing in the first place. And you can go from legendary names like a DJ Kool Herc or an Africa Bambaataa. You can come down
Well,
the
you
line
dropping
and
all
you
the
get into
names.
guys. Yeah, I mean, you go through and it goes through phases and there's different types. You can go into, guys that were old school classics that we grew up with, the guys like Terminator X from Public Enemy, a Jam Master Jay from Run DMC, a DJ Yella from NWA, along with Dr. Dre. Without Rakim, you got to have that Eric B and Rakim to make the album sound right. Eric B
Funk
had to be spinning
Flex.
on that thing. You come through mixtape kings and stuff like that. Radio DJs that got on real good. You got the K Slaves, the Funk Master Flex, the DJ
DJ
Drama,
Drama, yes sir.
DJ Julio G, who a lot of people won't acknowledge unless you live on the West Coast, but at K Day out in California, the world's first hip hop station, he was one of the guys that was really pushing on and got NWA on the radio to start the whole gangster rap thing, getting that
Tony
mainstream
Touch.
popularity. You go through and you got your party DJs. Good example. Your Tony Touches, you know what I'm
Lil
saying? You got
Jon.
your DJ Red Alerts, you know what I'm saying? You got your Pete Rocks, your Ali Shaheed Muhammad's from A Tribe Called Quest. You go old school with your Marley Marls, you can come new school and get your Mark Ronsons on. You got your DJ Tim Westwoods, who was one of the first guys to actually mix and spin hip hop on radio in Britain. You got the females, not to be left out. You got DJ Beverly Bond, who is actually famous now for not only being a world class DJ, but she's responsible for the Black Girl Magic or the Black Girl Rocks specials and events that they do on BET. You got DJ Jazzy Joyce, who's been doing it for decades on the radio for females. You got Salt and Pepper's own DJ Spinnerella, who's always been a beast on the ones and twos, holding it down for them as a group. You go through, you got, all areas are represented. You got Philly sound with, you know, one of the gods, the OGs, DJ Jazzy Jeff, who for me is the greatest DJ on earth. For me, it's my favorite DJ of all time. You got, you know, everywhere represented. You go down south, you can't have Louisiana bounce music without thinking about DJ Jubilee. You cannot do bounce music in Louisiana without DJ Jubilee. He's the godfather of hip hop in Louisiana for the most part, keeping it where we live. Got to have a 5,000 watts get recognized. You got to have a DJ Screw get recognized. Those
Hey,
guys revolutionized hip hop down south. I mean, you go through now, biggest names you hear out there. It started off with funny dudes that used to freestyle on the mic and scream their name all the time, like DJ Clue. Now you got a DJ Khaled doing the same thing. DJs have always been very instrumental in how the sound is represented, how the movement gets shaped, and how it moves forward and progresses or regresses. A lot of times it's always been said, if you can't get the DJ to play your
Boy,
stuff, man, you just don't have
you
no
answer
career. It just don't work like that.
you answering your own question. Like you didn't answer the question already.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Don't get ahead of ourselves.
yes,
There's no
Okay,
such
then.
thing as a right or wrong answer, because if you got enough swag with it, you can defend any one of the four. But we'll get to that in a second.
Mhm.
Always trying to jump ahead of the curve.
I'm gonna let
Now,
you
one of
have
my favorite elements from being a kid, b-boying. You know, b-boys, b-girls, break dancers, hip-hop dance in general, whether it's break dancing on that cardboard or linoleum, to popping and locking, to crumping, to the line dances and stuff like that that they do now, learning how to dougie, getting the Harlem Shaky and stuff like that. There's so many things about it that's influenced pop culture in general. You see people of all races, genders, backgrounds that will go through and will bust out with a quote unquote hip hop dance or move. It's become so ingrained in what we do as a society that it's hard to not be able to acknowledge or give props. It's giving way to wonderful shows like America's Best Dance Crew, So You Think You Can Dance, World of Dance that's out right now. Uh, and there's so many different ways of going through, but it's one of those things that for those that couldn't rhyme or couldn't write enough or couldn't spin on the turntables and stuff like that, you still had a way of expressing yourself through that dance, through that battling. A lot of these guys that started off when hip hop first really broke out in the 70s and early 80s in New York, it was an alternative to what they were doing on the streets as far as gang activities. They stopped doing violent activities as far as shooting and stabbing each other, and they would go to the local discotheque and they would battle on the dance floor to see who had the dopest moves, who could, you know, hold it down for their crew and for their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? You go through, you have classic breakdance teams like the legendary Rocksteady crew. You have the New York City Breakers. Uh, it's evolved so much over time now. They still do world championships of breakdancing and stuff like that every year. You have people all over the globe uh, that breakdance and try to hold it down and keep the art going and keep it moving. You look at movies that they have out now, the Step Out series, the You Got Served from back in the day, and stuff like that, and you can see how much the actual movement and the music and the DJing and the dancing and stuff has progressed to the point that they literally do stuff to me that defies like physical logic. Some of the moves that these guys do now when they come out breakdancing and dancing in these hip hop competitions and stuff like that, it's like I didn't even know that a body could twist or move like that. And they're constantly raising the bar and doing more and more and more. Uh, it's one of those that we kind of take for granted because we see so much of it now. I mean, you go back and you can trace a lot of the best moves we've seen from a Michael Jackson or MC Hammer back to breakdancing and hip hop moves. Uh, you can go through and see folks again on movies and stuff like that. You see all kinds of dance movies and stuff like that that come out to commemorate and appreciate the art of it. So that's one that's not to be taken for granted as well. And then lastly, you have graffiti, uh, the actual visual aspect of the art and the genre. And that goes as simple as somebody that just wants to doodle on their notepad to somebody that used to scribble on
Mhm.
pictures on the bathroom wall when they were in school to folks that went out and did, you know, little bomb sets on the trains or on the side of cars and stuff like that, to people who did whole cars and whole trains that have expanded it out. And now they're going from getting arrested and getting chased off of public transportation for going through and tagging up spots and hitting up buildings and stuff like that. So now they're being featured in art exhibits all over the world. They're being looked at as actual artists and not just a bunch of kids trying to do vandalism. And that's a testament to the staying power of hip hop in itself as a genre and as a cultural tool and way of life for people. But my thing for you guys, because it's one of the conversations that I love having it with my friends and stuff like that all the time. For you guys personally, one of the biggest issues that we get into is that there is a semi disconnect because you have some people that are hip hop fans and they're all in it and they embrace all the aspects of it and stuff like that. And then you have folks that just kind of are into the rap music and that's about it. So for you guys growing up and coming up, would you consider yourself to be more on the rap side or more on the hip hop side in general?
Man, me personally, I gotta say I'm more on the hip hop side. It's just my parents was kind of young when they had me. They were 18 and 19 respectively. So they grew up in kind of like the R&B era of everything, the hip hop era, everything. So I grew up around the music, and as far as all four of the elements you was talking about, I feel like you couldn't survive without the DJ. And like I grew up
He
in a
sets a
neighborhood
tone.
where, yeah, I grew up in a neighborhood to where they had a lot of house parties. Once the DJ stopped playing music, everybody started looking around and shit like, what we supposed to do now? Like the DJ was the heartbeat of the party. You're nothing without the heartbeat. So that's why, like when you first asked us that, it was easy for me. I'm like, oh, it's nothing without the DJ. I got cousins and uncles that are DJs. Like it's in their bloodline and just the love of music in general. So I feel like you can't do anything without the DJ. And the underrated aspect that I had picked for myself was the graffiti. I had a lot of cousins that would go and like tag the trains that wasn't moving in the neighborhood. I go with them, and I just want to see the art of it, like what you're able to create. It don't even necessarily have to be music involved in it, but it's just what can you create because you're taking everything that's a visual. So in the back of your mind, what do you? And I honestly seen a Jam Master Jay spray painting like from hand, like I seen it happen. So that's the power that hip hop brings. You can actually embrace it in your memory, and when you actually ready to do the art, bam, everything right there. You can see everything in the clear picture. So I want to say the DJ and the graffiti is gonna be the two for me.
Me personally, like I said, we all know DJing is the key. It sets the mood. It gets you in the type of vibe that you need to get into. Even if you want to take it nowadays, and I don't want to take it too old school for folks. If you want to take it nowadays, when you just listen to the Future or a lot of these new age rappers that don't have the greatest lyrical capability, their production is always good. It is why it makes it so popular. It's a good thing to you get into your airways, and it starts to make you tap your feet, move a little bit, and things of that nature. And it always, I feel like that's where most art on the music side begins, is with the DJ, with the beat. You start with a beat and then you come with the lyrics and then you add, your little flavor and whatnot. And then my underrated thing is, what was it? It was b-boying, graffiti, the DJ,
and the MC.
Oh, the MC is always going to be. I'm not going to say the MC is the most underrated, because if you want to be truthful about it, the most underrated is the thing people don't look for the most. So I would say it probably is graffiti, like DeMarcus was saying. But me personally, I feel like nowadays I'm not going to say a lot of mainstream people, but a lot of people underrate the MC in the game right now. And I feel like 2017 has been a resurgence of the MC and a lot of lyricism, and a lot of people are looking for those bars and not being fooled by the hood and hawing that a lot of people like to do, and the extra stuff, when we're really checking for seeing what you're saying and the message that you are trying to convey. And me personally, I'm always going to be a fan of lyricism, and I always would like to give a shout out to my boy Eric Glover, because what he did was he put me on. I was always I'm not going to say that I was a casual fan of rap for the longest. I listened to the stuff that is on the radio, maybe the thing that people are talking about the most. But when my boy put me on Jay-Z, he kind of opened me up to a whole nother realm of things to listen for. So that's why I was able to go back and appreciate Outkast and things of that nature, Biggie, Tupac, things, artists like that I really didn't grow up listening to. So I had to give respect to the DJ and also the MC, like always.
And I feel one thing that we are kind of undervaluing, Wilson, is the b-boy, because I don't know about Marcus, but I wasn't actually able to see that live. Like I would have loved to be a part of it.
Well, you got b-boy nowadays. I mean, you just got a new form of it.
Yeah, but Wilson grew up in New York and where it was created. You know what I'm saying?
Seeing people like break dance and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I mean, I've seen Rocksteady Crew and New York City Breakers like in person. I've
you know what I'm
seen
saying?
those guys
And that sound live.
do it.
That sound live as shit. And I wish I could actually experience it in that time frame. You know, not right now, but in the 80s when everything was
exactly, because that wouldn't interest me right now. Me personally,
exactly.
I'm not trying to see nobody.
Let me ask this, and you say that, but when it comes to b-boying, it's not just breakdancing; it's hip hop dancing in general. So
I know I can really
that extends out to just going to the club and seeing people get it in whenever a hot song comes on.
I want to see the 3X Adidas with the Kango hat. That's what I want to see. I want to see the real deal.
I mean, it's cool and dandy. As a young person growing up, yeah, dancing was a thing that kind of galvanized everything.
With Soulja Boy, and I hate it.
But no, I mean, we did the dances and all that stuff. Me personally, as a 27-year-old person, I'm just not checking for dances, and that's not something that I'm looking for. I'm more of a kind of a chill nature vibe type of person. So that's why I would always value the DJ and also the MCing, because those are two things that I like to vibe with when I'm chilling. And I'm not trying to see dancing. Yeah, I'll get hyped for like a Beyonce come running around there, or maybe the new dances a lot of the young folks be doing is cool, but it's not something I particularly need at this age. But if I was younger, variation,
exactly. yeah,
I can get down on.
Exactly, I'm with you.
And I can understand that. I'll respectfully disagree, because I will break out in a Bankhead bounce in a heartbeat and not really give a damn at the ripe old age of 41. But I grew up dancing, man. I mean, that's part of the thing for me. I grew up dancing to the point where did it all through my college years. Me and my boys would get together, and they would actually let us into all of the parties free, because they knew we would get everybody out on the floor dancing and, kind of get the party jumping off and stuff like that. So I'll always have that love for it. I've translated that over to with mentoring with my high school kids over the years. Dealing back at Booker T. Washington High School, I used to coach step teams with my brother and stuff like that. So it was a natural progression in that regard too. I coached college step teams and things of that nature. So dance will always have that place for me. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one of those things that it just kind of depends on how you came up and what you came up around. There's a lot of folks that absolutely love hip hop, but you're never gonna see them try to do a backspin or do an airlift. I mean, it just don't work like that. But the beauty of hip hop is it doesn't have to. There's so many different aspects of it to appreciate that you don't have to be pigeonholed into just one. And I'll echo y'all's sentiments. For me, the most important part for me will always be the DJ, because in my opinion, that's the guy that lays the foundation for the memory that I'm about to experience.
There you go. You right about it. He laid
nobody remembers a hot party if all the fucking tracks are whack. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just being blunt, you know what I'm saying? People are more willing to sacrifice whack lyrics as long as it's over a hype beat in this day and age. That's just the way that it is. I mean, that's the reality that we live with. But that stems from respect from the fact that, the DJ, when you go through and you see people go out and put up their flyers, the first thing they're going to put on that motherfucker is who the DJ is. Because if the DJ ain't hot, I ain't going. Yeah. Period.
Facts.
And for me, the most underrated, for a different reason, but the most underrated to me is the MC. And it goes on two fronts for me. Number one, and the most important front, is kind of disrespectful to me to live in a day and age where we've kind of been programmed to where anybody really thinks that they can just literally just pick up a mic and be an MC. Like, they don't understand what goes into the art form. They don't understand what goes into these guys' thought processes and the things that they come up with. Like, I tell people all the time, if you need visual interpretation of it, take your favorite rap song and write that shit down on a piece of paper and tell me how beautiful that shit looks like poetry. Poetry and motion. It's just one of those things, man. And to me, it does a discredit to a lot of the actual real MCs that are out there that have done this, and they put in the work, and they give you those awesome rhymes and that awesome music that you go and you nod your head to and stuff like that. For somebody to sit and say, well, I'll just go through, come up with something catchy real quick, put a hot beat on it, and now I'm an MC too.
Yes, sir.
You're not.
No, you're not.
And then on the other half of it is that exact premise right there. The fact that the game has kind of gotten watered down because everybody feels that the easiest thing to do in hip hop is just pick up a mic and be an MC, and that to me could be the furthest thing from the truth. You can go through and you can have dudes that might be hot for a second. You might have guys that can get you buzzing for 1 or 2 songs. Can they do it for 1 or 2 decades though? I mean, everybody is ready to anoint this person or that person, the next greatest, and this, that, and the other. But you won't take the time to acknowledge folks like an LL Cool J who's been in it for damn near 40 years. It's just one of those things to me. But I always feel that that's an undervalued aspect. But it's kind of in a different kind of way. It's not that nobody pays attention to them or they're checking for them. It's kind of to the fact that they kind of check for them too much and they really think that it's easier than what it is.
Yeah.
But next for me, for you guys, is when it pertains to hip hop, there's also byproducts of those 4 elements. You have fashion that comes into play as it pertains to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You got clothing, you got shoes, you got, the whole look and how that changes over the years and stuff like that. You have the vernacular, the slang, which changes and ebbs and flows in hip hop. Your catchphrases, your new stuff that, your hot things to say and stuff like that. Back in the day, everything was fresh and dope. Now stuff is lit. You know what I'm saying? It changes over time, but the premise behind it is still the same. One of the other underrated byproducts to me of hip hop is the fact that it has spawned some of the best stories of entrepreneurship that America has ever seen.
True.
Guys that had to go out there and get it because nobody believed enough in what they were doing, because at one point in time this was looked at as a fad and not music and not a genre.
Noise.
But they went out there, they fought hard, they did their things, and they kind of paved the way and showed you that you can accomplish the American dream from hip hop. But for me, to you guys, what is one of the things about hip hop that's influenced you the most? Like any facet of it that in your opinion has influenced your life the most?
Honestly, for me, man, it has to be the doors that open up from hip hop. Like you was just saying, like Dr. Dre for instance, like the way he was able to build his empire off the
And it's an empire.
Is exactly that's why, like, when you sell something off for over $3 billion, you're doing something right. So it's just the avenues that hip hop has been able to open up for people, especially in the African community, because sometimes you don't really have a game plan in order. You just try to go with the flow, see what's going to work out for you, what's going to work out for you best. And hip hop actually opened up that avenue for those young guys in LA. So that has to be one of the main aspects that I look at, is just that entrepreneurship that hip hop has been able to give, especially to a lot of the artists that we've seen from Dr. Dre on down.
Okay. On another note from that, as it pertains to hip hop in general and how it has gone through and actually given empowerment to minorities in this country, because it, really started out as an expression in inner cities for Latinos, African Americans to be able to get out there and express themselves and not be in that pop or that mainstream field, because they didn't feel like they identified. They didn't feel like what they were hearing on the radio was
it's an escape. I mean, and that's what I always used hip hop as. It was my escape. It was one of those things to where, man, I had about three or four CD players. Anytime one went out, I'm just going on to the next one. I used to record songs on the radio just to have them. Like that's how deep into it I was. I couldn't afford all the new CDs. So I'll record my stuff on the radio, play my little tape cassette. If I got my CD player, I'm doing like that. But I'll just sit there. I was
about to say, now you got it good, because I'm an old man. I had to sit and time that record button on the radio for that tape. Whenever them DJs was playing on the radio, you know what I'm saying? I had to time. Oh man, I caught him too. Oh man,
I got this. Now I got this half recorded song, but I got like a good 20 minutes of audio, so I'm good.
People front, you pull out a great tape right now, it's gonna be some action.
It's gonna be some action. All I need is about 4 tracks, and we set for the night, baby. So I have my music. I have it on repeat. I just go to sleep with my headphones on. But it's like, you could just see the art in music. You just sit there in the dark headphones on. All you got is the music and yourself in that room, and you just feeling it. You feeling every word. So it's just that power, that empowerment that hip hop brought to me. It really helped me through honestly, some of the darkest days of my life just by listening to music. Sometimes you just want to get away, hear your favorite tracks, and just relax. And I feel like there's no other music you can do that with other than hip hop.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And for me, like I was in the hip hop period, just ingrained
Yeah,
in it, and it's kind of
and
by
Wilson,
association.
honestly, I'm seriously jealous of you because you grew up in what I always figured was the best times in life. Like I feel like if I lived my childhood in the '80s, I would have been set because I feel like through the '80s until now, you have seen everything. And
Oh
this not
man,
just particularly you, but this anybody that's in that sort of age bracket. But you've seen everything. You've seen this country at its worst time. You see this country at its bad times. You've seen all the ups, all the downs, and you've seen the evolution of the one thing that combines so many of us together, and that's hip hop. So
oh yeah.
hey, I'm very envious of what you was able to endure in your lifetime.
And I feel that, man. It's been awesome to, like I said, I have no qualms with claiming myself to be a full on invested child of hip hop, and it's been fun to watch it go from being kind of simple in its form, and as it evolves and gets more complex and gets more intricate and it gets more widespread. Kids in Ireland and Japan and stuff like that wasn't listening to hip hop in the 70s and 80s, but there's not a place on earth where you can't hear it now. uh, it's good to see how it's kind of grown as far as, and I equate it to a human being. Hip hop is about to turn 44. Hip
Yeah,
hop got bills. Hip hop got a mortgage now. Hip hop
it got bills.
got kids and a wife to
Got to
take
pay
care of. You know what I'm
taxes.
saying? Hip hop ain't checking for the same
Hip
things that
hop
hip hop
ain't
was
shit.
checking for back in the 80s when they could just go to the club every weekend, and get it how they live. But
Yeah,
it's one of those things that I always appreciate it from a simple fact of seeing something and being privileged enough to see something, anything, whether it's in life with human beings or with, something cultural or something,
you
but
want
to
to see
see
it grow.
something from like its birth and
Yeah,
watch it grow and grow
that's
up and
special.
succeed and
That's
flourish
special.
is a beautiful thing. And to be able to say that you are a part of it or you are a part of witnessing that is equally fantastic. Real quick, and I'm gonna make you pay attention to this question the way that I asked it now. This ain't about who's the best. Who's your favorite hip hop artist?
My favorite hip hop artist, man. Cause see, I was about to go straight for the best, but I'm glad you making me think about this for a while. My
And it
favorite
ain't got to
hip
be a
hop.
rapper. It's hip hop. There's more
Yeah,
aspects than just rap. So that's why I
yeah,
left it kind of broad like that.
yeah. You left it open ended for me. Favorite. I probably have to revert back to my man Dre because it's just the story. I love a good story and seeing what he was able to do with that group. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for his passion for hip hop and you seen in all the movies, you seen in the documentaries, he actually loved hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he did. I'm embracing this. I'm a part of this movement and he grew up around the same time as you, so he was there for the birth. So just seeing somebody that's actually invested their entire life into the game of hip hop, that's what I love about Dr. Dre. And I feel like it's one of the best stories you can tell because like, to be completely honest, he was just another nigga. Like that's what he was viewed as. So to go from that to building that empire, that's the type of stories that the kids need to follow. That's the type of example that needs to be set. And that's the type of example that Dre set starting in the 80s, growing up with hip hop, into the 90s when he transcended the game, and what he's doing now in the 2000s. Like he surpassed all 3 decades of the hip hop game, going into 4 decades, and he's setting the ultimate example for everybody. So that's
Most
probably what I
definitely,
love the
most
most
definitely.
about Dr. Dre.
For me, my favorite hip hop artist is and always will be uh, DJ Jazzy Jeff. Man, that guy to me is kind of underrated, kind of underappreciated.
And
Uh,
I can honestly say that he is, especially in my generation. A lot of people in my generation only remember him from being Jazz or Fresh Prince, and he was
Yeah, and you know what? That has its place too because it still fits the genre. It still fits the growth and evolution of it because to see a person associated with hip hop on that type of a platform at one point in time was unheard of too. So that in itself is kind of groundbreaking. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, even if the identification
but he
is,
did a lot more for the game of hip hop than
oh
just being
yeah,
on TV,
still is,
and that's what
still
a
is.
lot of people still need to realize. So
And that's the
go
thing,
ahead,
you know,
give us the breakdown on him.
he was one of the guys. There's another guy that came out of Philly, DJ Cash Money. They both got a little bit of fame because they were one of the first people to do what they call transforming on the turntables, hitting that crossfader real hard, making the different sounds and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he still travels the world to this day, lighting up clubs and sets on those wheels of steel, doing it. He's also transcended just doing hip hop and rap, and his Touch of Jazz production company does things for that Philly neo soul sound and a lot of the other rappers in the game and stuff like that. He's laid down beats and done production for people like Eric Roberson, Jill Scott, The Roots, stuff like that. But the one thing that I always liked about him the most is just look like your regular old fashioned nerdy guy, but when you put him behind them turntables, man,
Beast.
he had no equal, and
Yeah.
everybody, anybody and everybody that knew anything about hip hop has nothing but respect for what that man has done in his career. And literally, he makes such wonderful music. Uh, you know, you go through and people, you know, they don't take the time to sit and think about it. But I know every time, you know, we get around March or April around these parts, I'm about to dust off that summertime and play it one time because I know what's
Y'all let him
coming.
know.
You know what
Y'all
I'm
let him
saying?
know.
You know what I'm
No
saying? You
doubt.
go through and you do stuff like that. You know, for the guys who grew up in my generation and stuff like that, it sounds a little cheesy to some of y'all newcomers and stuff like that now, but people
No,
don't
I feel,
understand the importance of a Parents Don't Understand that came
yeah.
out when he was doing this thing with the Fresh Prince, otherwise known as Will Smith. Uh, they got a Grammy for that. It's the first time hip hop was acknowledged with a Grammy for putting that out. It kind of gave them, you know, accreditation as a music and as an art form to be able to do stuff like that. But he'll always have a special place in my heart. And, you know, it's not always about if you think somebody is the best or something like that, because it's about what appeals to you, you know, which leads me into my next question. For me personally, when it comes to style of hip hop that I like, I've always been a nerd. I've always been, I guess, what they call conscious now. Uh, but I've always been into my history. I've always been into, you know, awareness and stuff like that. Came up listening to, you know, Grandmaster Flash, Africa Bambaataa, hearing stuff like The Message. I always like, you know, the Kool Moe Dees of the world, the people that, you know, KRS-One, the Rakim, that kind of edutained, as KRS-One and them were known for coining the phrase, educating and entertaining at the same time.
Sure.
And I guess through my teenage years, coming up in the late 80s, early 90s and stuff like that, I guess you would call me a backpacker. I was a Tribe Called Quest guy. I was a Jungle Brothers type guy, you know, X-Clan and stuff like that. I was listening to a lot of that kind of stuff, Arrested Development. And don't get me wrong, I still indulged in my good party music. People like to laugh at me, but I will still be more than proud to say that I was a huge DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince fan, huge MC Hammer fan. I like party music. That was part of
Man, my
hip hop
pops had
too.
me on East
It's
Side.
not all about, you know, it's not all about doom and gloom. And that's the thing that kind of loses itself in the translation now. You got to be talking about doom and gloom and everything's got to be bad and terrible and stuff like that for you to be legit. Well, no, because that wasn't always happening in my neighborhood. Sometimes we just wanted to go out, hang out, have a good time, talk to some cuties, you know what I'm saying? So that had its place, you know what I'm saying? But for you, if you could really kind of jump into what your particular area of hip hop that kind of drew you in first from a musical standpoint. Was it gangster rap? Was it down south? Was it East Coast, West Coast? Was it party vibes? Was it hardcore? Like, what was it that really kind of appealed to you once you really started getting into the hip hop from a musical standpoint?
I mean, as you can tell, it was definitely the West Coast that kind of changed everything for me. You know, like down here we had that kind of Southern flavor, and my pops was a big like New Edition guy. Then all of a sudden,
For sure.
I got a hold of this NWA, and I'm like, who are these guys? I know I can't say these words right now, but who are
They
these
look
guys?
so angry on the cover. Who are these guys?
So
Why
it's
are they
like, man,
wearing all this black? What is this?
I just started listening to him, and then I started falling in love with people like Bone Thugs and Harmony. So I started like in fast rap, even though I couldn't understand it, but I was feeling it. I was digging it, the rhythms and emotions. And like I said, I really got enamored into the West Coast life. I jammed Tupac a lot. I was actually Tupac before Biggie, but then when I started feeling Biggie more as I grew up, I kind of changed my stance on it. But dude, I was West Coast. I was throwing dubs up anytime I had a chance. Like
Yeah, yay.
I was so West Coast. So it's like that West Coast vibe. Like I say, I pretty much grew up in the '90s, so I really didn't get my hands onto music, my parents' music, until probably like
Yeah.
'96. So '96, that was like Tupac pretty much last year of
But
rapping.
that was a great time to get
Yeah,
into music, though.
that
That was
was,
a great time to get into hip hop
and
music because there was a lot
that's
of
why
great
I
stuff
say
out there.
exactly, and that's why I say it was probably the best time because I actually got the experience before everybody started dying off and everything. I actually got to experience them live. So anything that came out Tupac or Biggie, it was new. It was
Yeah.
brand new music, so I actually got to enjoy that. I didn't know too much of the words, but hey, at 7 years old, I was jamming, bro. That's all I
And
can really
you talking about
say.
'96? That was when Hove was first getting on.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. So
Reasonable Doubt time, stuff
Hope,
like that.
Outkast, Scarface, so like I say, I was with the Southern. I had a lot of Southern music bumping, but the West Coast music, that's what's with my hey man, you got that new Tupac, you got that new NWA, you got that Dr. Dre, you got that Ice Cube. Like that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to
Oh
hear the
yeah.
NWA music, So that's probably the art that captured me into the hip hop game, like for sure, that West Coast music, because it was something different, it was something new, and as a person that was still developing his brain, it's like, man, I like this music more than the music I'm always hearing on the radio. Like I like all the chopped and screwed stuff, all the great, like you said, the great cassette stuff, but this West Coast music really got something to it, and that's when I really became the fan of hip hop because I started to appreciate the art, not for just what I hear on the radio, but to venture out and want to learn more about music.
Exactly. Appreciate the lifestyle. Appreciate all that comes with that you go through.
Exactly. So that's why I say it probably seemed like, man, this dude just a hardcore Dr. Dre fan, but he was one of the first guys I listened to out on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Like that group and what he did for that group and all his cold ass beats. So that's what really made me fall in love with hip hop.
And
And
it's so funny. I completely agree with that. But the one thing that I've also noticed over time too is that a lot of folks down south were going to naturally gravitate more towards
the
the
East.
West Coast style of music because of the fact that one thing that I know that the West and the South have in common is that they're huge funk fans.
Mm-hmm.
Huge funk fans. South has more of a laid back vibe when it
Laid
comes to the
back
way
and
that they put
chill.
out the hip hop, just like the West Coast. East Coast, we rah rah, we banging hoodies and Tims, and we loud and rah, we high powered with it. You know
Well,
what I'm saying? And it
but
has its place
but
too.
that's where it was born and raised, so it's a little
Yeah,
different. Y'all more
yeah.
enamored with it. It seemed like it slowly came down to the south, but then like the momentum didn't pick up as big. So that's why everything is so chill because it didn't explode like it did in New York down here.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, we're not
still a
sitting on
world
top of
around
each
the
other,
corner.
jammed
Yeah.
up in wall to wall traffic and being angry all the time either. So that kind of has a little bit to do with it. But you know what I'm saying?
I think that has a lot to do with it, bro. I
But
think
that's a part of it too, because the one thing that I tell people is that while I generated towards what I guess would be called the backpacker type thing and stuff like that too, like the most beautiful thing about hip hop to me was it was something that literally could entertain every mood that I was in. If I felt a little hardcore, I
that's
could get that.
that's the
If I
most
felt
important part. You
a
can
little
always have
laid back, you know what I'm
your
saying?
mood
Yeah.
and your music can always
If
vibe
I
at something.
if I felt I'm on that, that good party vibe, I had some party shit that I could listen to. If I felt like I want, let this little shorty I'm over here looking at, let her know, yeah, what it do. I even have some cuts for that. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those things that made it really, really cool because you could literally express yourself in any way, shape, or form that you wanted to through hip hop. You didn't have to stray or deviate or go another route. It was all right there for you. And that to me makes it unique from almost anything else that
No
was
doubt.
going on.
I can I can
Um,
I can honestly say like I'm not to say that I was like like to myself a lot, but I feel like hip hop was the only time I could be myself. Just growing up, like I could actually be myself when I listen to hip hop. I can just actually chill. If I want to dance, I can dance. If I want to chill, I can chill. If I want to rap along with the songs and I don't know the words, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? So
oh yeah,
hip hop really brought my character out and it actually developed me into the person I am. So hey, I'm nothing without hip hop, dude. I'm
and
nothing without that hard knock life.
yeah,
So, what I'm saying?
and the
You
funny
find
part
that
about
young
that,
daughter.
yeah, the funny part about that though is the fact that one of the other things that I appreciate about hip hop as well as the fact that living in this melting pot that we call the United States of America, and with us both as men of color having difficulty sometimes in the way that we can be viewed or interpreted because we have that wonderment, we have that identification with our ancestry, and we have that sense of who we are and where we come from. But at the same time, acknowledging my roots, but knowing where I'm at too. Hip hop is one of the very few things that I can say that is unique to me as an African American, not an African. You know what
100%.
I'm saying? It wasn't something that its roots are here. It
Here.
has elements of it that have come from
Yeah.
Caribbean vibes, African vibes, and stuff like that. But it
But
was
it's
something that
American
was
made.
an American
Yeah.
creation. And it's one of those things that I think subconsciously makes me love it so much is because it's one of those things that my Latino brothers, my brown Americans, my black Americans can identify with, and we can say, we made this.
Yeah.
This is ours.
It's our creation.
Uh, You know what I'm saying? This was our way of getting our voices and our
Expressing
expression
ourselves.
out when
There
nobody
you go.
felt like they cared enough about us
Or they
or thought that
or
we were worth
had a
getting
voice.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I think makes it awesome. And now that's expanded out to the point where it's a global phenomenon. It's a global culture. It's a global mindset. I love being able to see folks in South America and France and Japan and Korea and Russia getting out and representing and taking the time to embrace the culture, to learn about it, to appreciate the foundations of it and go and spread that knowledge to kind of keep it going and uplift it. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be people that are going to try to take away from it, try to make profit from it, try to bastardize it. You know what I'm saying? Whitewash it, strip it down. You know what I'm saying? Take
Yeah.
the soul out of it, per se.
And that's
But
what
you're
they can't
still
do.
going to have
You
those
can
people
you can never
that
take
are
the soul out of
underground.
hip
Yeah.
hop as long as we are in America. Like this is our baby. This is our creation. So yeah, they'll never be able to do that. They want to. They
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they
Ever
want to
since they found out they can make money off of it, that's all they've ever wanted to do.
yeah.
Uh, and to a certain extent, I mean, that's been one of the biggest pitfalls about hip hop too, is that we've had times where we've lost our way, where we've been manipulated, where we've kind of sold ourselves out for that
Yeah.
dollar. Uh, but the heart of it is still there. The original intent and purpose of it is still there. As long as there's a underground battle going on between two dudes that ain't nobody ever heard of, is dropping insane hot fire bars.
Yes,
Hip
sir.
hop is still alive in that. As long as you got that kid that's doodling in his notepad because he don't feel like paying attention to the whack stuff the teacher's saying in school, and dreaming about easels and paintbrushes and spray cans, hip hop is still alive. You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
you got that little kid that's fidgety and can't sit still because all he wants to do is look at them YouTube videos and copy them dances that he's seen because he know can't nobody in his class out dance him.
They
You know
can't
what I'm saying? Hip hop is still alive. You know what I'm
they
saying? When
can't
you
touch
got that dude that can sit and you can tell him a subject offhand, and he can sit and just freestyle, and he can talk about this and talk about that, make the ladies wink at him and look cool. And, he know how to flip them words right. And his boys be like, man, I don't know how you do that, man. The way you be talking, boy. Hip hop is still alive. That's what
yes,
it's
sir.
all about. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing that makes it beautiful. That's the thing that will always make me love it. And whether I'm 41 or 81, they'll still see me in a fresh pair of Nike Cortez or some Tims or some Adidas shell toes. I'll every once in a while, you know what I'm saying, throw on that Yankees hat and that Biggie T-shirt and let them know, you know what I'm saying. That's what it's all about, you know
It's
what I'm
what it
saying,
is.
because it's it's,
Yeah.
it's ageless, you know what I'm saying. As hip hop grows, so does hip hop's fans. I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
about to quit just because somebody might think that I'm too old to no. I
Nah,
grew up
ain't
with
no
this,
such
homie.
thing.
You
Yeah.
can't tell me that. I
Yeah.
grew up with this. You can't tell me that. Now I might not listen to the same stuff, or you're not gonna catch me in the skinnies with the Yeezys on. Or that's not my flavor.
The
That's out.
torn
That's
jeans and
that's that's
the
that's
tie dye
outside of my
shirt.
age bracket. You know what I'm saying? I'm good with it though, because the other part about hip hop that I think is underrated from people that truly love it. Everybody gets into this shaming these young kids for what they wearing and what they saying and this, that, and the other. My folks and stuff like that thought the stuff that the Big Daddy Kanes and Heavy D's of the world and the Ghetto Boys, they thought that stuff was gibberish too and couldn't understand it. I'm not about to sit and be that guy that's gonna sit and be hypocritical and do the same thing to this next generation. If you got your 21 Savage, you got your Migos, your Future, your Kendricks, your J. Cole. I mean, Do you? That's the part of what makes hip hop beautiful. Everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets their time to have that shine with it. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I'm
If,
glad you said it because I hate when people talk down on artists. Like it's all our art. We all in this for the same thing. Like let's just
yeah.
appreciate the time they actually took out and put together something that they're passionate about. It may not make
And don't get me
sense.
wrong, you have your preference, and that's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's
just
cool.
because it's not your preference
No
doesn't mean
down
that
talk.
it's not good.
Yes,
You know
sir.
what I'm saying? You
Nah,
don't have to talk down on the next man to make your man look good. Because if he's as
yeah,
good as you say if he's as good as you say he is, you don't need to say nothing else.
because at the end
The
of the day,
art speaks for itself.
you disrespecting the art with that. Like you can't say, "Oh, I appreciate this artist, but I don't appreciate that one." They all in the same culture, my man. Like
Yeah.
we all under one tree. So you disrespect one, you disrespect them all.
And that's the thing for me, and then to understand that we've grown enough as a hip hop community and a hip hop culture that there's a little bit of everything in every generation.
Yeah,
You know, I enjoy looking at the fact that, you know, they always talk about the young bucks and oh they don't care about this and about that and they wearing this crazy stuff and they just mumbling and this that and the other. Well, you know, you got conscious guys out there too. You got good party guys out there too. You know what I'm saying? You got good hardcore guys out there too. Just like my generation did. Just like the generation before me did.
true.
Just because the package is different doesn't mean it's no less valuable. You know what I'm saying? And you
100%
can't
agree.
tell me that they're not good because they're reaching an audience somewhere. Them
Yeah.
albums ain't selling themselves.
What? They always gonna have a. It'd be the most random fans. It'd be some fans out there in Seattle somewhere. They all they got all his ass.
Exactly, exactly. Everything has a market, man, and it's out there for a reason. And at the end of the day, these kids thought enough of themselves and what they were passionate about to let their voices be heard. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to get to a point where you've achieved the level to where you get that platform to be heard is to be commended in itself.
No doubt. No doubt, man. Couldn't have said it better, my man. Couldn't have said it better. I definitely gotta appreciate the art of hip hop. You know, like I said, I feel like a lot of the youth take it for granted. Like someone had to create the form of hip hop first off, you know. So we do need to appreciate the birthday that has been around. You said 44 years, correct?
Hip hop turns 44.
44 years. That's amazing. Shout out to Barack Obama.
Man, hey, you see how that numerology work? You see?
Shout out to Barack, my man.
And it's funny, man, but it's a beautiful thing, and you know, for me, and you know, I'll kind of leave it off the soapbox and stuff like that. But people take time to appreciate hip hop, you know, whether it's taking the time to go and look up, see what these graffiti artists are all about, or see what some of this breakdancing and stuff is all about. Some of the aspects that you may not have really gotten into when it comes to hip hop, but you'd be surprised at how much you might learn or be interested in those other aspects. Because trust me, I can't draw to save my life. I can't put together
Boy,
no rhyme or nothing like that. I can, you know, I can wiggle a little bit on the dance floor. I'm cool. You know what I'm saying?
get
Mom
by.
and dad, mom and dad killed that DJ thing. What? You're not about to scratch up my records now? That dream died like long time ago. I wouldn't.
I ain't had to get like that. Did you still at
You're
least
not about to scratch up my record.
you at least try
Nah,
to get one in,
nah,
like just a list? Nah, didn't. Nah.
nah. I just had to admire from afar. I was like, no, mom and pop's a little
It
too
ain't
heavy handed. I can't do that. I can't do that.
I don't want to go
Said
peel
I
on
get
the
this dance
switch.
move though. I can hit this windmill. I can hit this backspin though. Watch to see how I pop it and lock it. Ugh, got them boys. You know what I'm saying? I can do that, you know. But that's one of those things. Everybody has their own lane and stuff like that. But it didn't stop me from going out and appreciating some of the early graffiti artists that used to bomb and tag in New York City. You know what I'm saying? It didn't stop me from appreciating the wonderful DJs and stuff that would set it off for parties. And it made me have an uber amount of respect for the guys that could get up on that mic and literally make an entire group of people
Gotta
be
have the right plan.
like-minded
You
and
gotta have
move and sway and
yeah.
sweat and laugh and scream and holler. I mean, when you get to a point where you go to that club spot or you go to a little concert joint and you got a dude that's on stage that's really working that mic to the point where them folks look like they just in a frenzy. It takes talent for that, man. It takes talent for that, man. And that's the thing, man. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes it awesome, man. I mean, when you get to a point where you can go, and I know I can only imagine what it would be like to be a Jay-Z or be a Kendrick Lamar nowadays or something like that. and you bust out in Humble, and you just literally hold the mic in the air because everybody in the fucking crowd is gonna say every lyric.
60,000
You
people.
know what I'm saying? Everybody is singing your shit. Everybody is singing your shit. I went out to Cali for my family reunion last month. They literally played nothing but Kendrick Lamar on the radio. They are holding it down for him, like in a major way. Like out of 10
That's
songs
love.
played on the radio, 7 of them were by Kendrick.
That's mad love. That's the art.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of it. Because at one point in time, there were no hip hop radio stations. There was no hip hop being played on the radio.
Before we get out of here, man, tell me what you expect from hip hop moving forward. Like, they is at the tender age of 44, but just as we extend through time, what do you expect from hip hop or any other artist, just in general? Like, what's your expectation?
For hip hop, and going back to my analogy of making it an entity and a life form, for lack of a better term, I expect hip hop to continue to mature. I expect it to continue to surprise me, to be innovative. I expect it not to get too stuck in being a quote unquote old man and still showing me that you got what it takes to still move the crowd and still make them smiles get up and still shock the world. Uh, I expect that now that we have 44 years of material, that we introduce that fifth element that a lot of us old heads talk about, which we call the lost element, and that's knowledge when it comes to hip hop.
Preach, man.
Teach
Preach.
people the foundations of what this is all about, what its original intent is, and make sure that that never dies. I expect hip hop to still be hip hop at the end of the day. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to always be responsible. It's not going to always say the best or most respectful thing, but it's genuine. It's from the heart. It's unapologetic. It's strong. It's a voice. It's a medium that reaches out for those people that feel that they have no voice. It's that expression for people that don't feel that they have it in them to express themselves.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's that outlet,
Hey,
like you said. It's that getaway. It's that drive that you go for.
It's
And
real.
it's a beautiful thing. It's so many aspects, but it's so simple in the same breath.
Exactly.
That it doesn't take much for you to fall in love with it. It doesn't take much for you to learn to respect it, to learn to appreciate it. And after that, it doesn't take anything at all for you to learn how to represent it. And that's the most beautiful thing to me about hip hop, is that it's one of those things that when you're in, you're in. And like my man Jay say, real always recognize real. So you know who's gonna look familiar.
There we go, man. Hey, that's a beautiful breakdown. I couldn't have said anything better myself. You really gave the people a big time history lesson there. I hope someone can take this and, man, if you feeling it, start writing down some rhymes, put some on YouTube. It don't matter. It's all about
Be the
the
next
art.
superstar. Give us a
Hey.
shout out when you get that first Grammy. Man, I
Yeah.
was listening to this podcast, Fish and Grits 281. These dudes started talking on this little second serving thing. I can't remember everything they were saying, but you know, some of it was whack. But they said some stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write this shit down. And you know, now I got this Grammy. So shouts out to whoever y'all was. I ain't never met y'all, but you know, if y'all still alive or whatever, because y'all sounded kind of old. Shouts out to y'all. Just you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. But you know, that's what it's all about, man. That's that pay it forward, man.
No doubt, no doubt. We doing that for the culture. Like my man said, this has been the second serving for my man Wilson and myself. This has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served again.
Happy birthday, hip hop.
Happy birthday, hip hop.